Hey, welcome to Q&A, where you ask your questions on faith and life, and I do my best to give a biblical perspective. Hey, you can see behind me that things are a little bit different to the way they normally are if you're a regular on this channel. Just in the process of packing up my home, ready to move. So things are a bit chaotic. It does mean that I may not get to Q&A again the rest of this week, early next week, but we'll just see how it goes. Anyway, let's jump into today's question from Elliot. Sometimes people ask me why I'm a Christian, and I always struggle coming up with a good answer that might spark something in them to maybe consider Christ. Hey, and I just think, Elliot, you're doing well. And the rest of you, if you've struggled with this similar types of thoughts, just let me encourage you. It's great that people are asking about your faith. The fact that people ask you about why you're a Christian, you should see that as a positive. People see something in you, that you have a relationship with them where they value you, they respect you, they perhaps see the difference that your faith is making. So I think that's a good thing. And I think it's great that you are willing to talk about your faith. 1 Peter 3:15 says that we should always be ready to give an account of the hope that we have. And so irrespective of whether you feel that you're sparking something or not, whether you're doing it well, the fact that you're willing to give an account, I think, is highly commendable. So to your struggle to say something that might spark something in other people. First, let me just encourage you with this thought. Simply by sharing your faith, what you're doing is planting a seed. And you might not see anything from it, but that's not the issue. We read in 1 Corinthians 6, Paul says that he planted, Apollos watered, but God gives the increase. And note what he says. Paul says, I planted and someone else looked after it, but God gave the increase. You see, if the seed hadn't been planted, none of the rest would have happened. So even though you may not see it, by virtue of sharing your faith, by virtue of giving an account of the hope that is within, you are planting seeds. You're not responsible for what happens after that, just for that act of planting. However, having said that, in my experience, just as when we plant seeds in the garden, there's things that we can do to improve the chances that it's going to grow, that the seed's going to germinate and all that sort of thing. There's things that we can do when we engage others that can help the other person, help the seed of faith that we're planting take hold in that person's life. For example, how you explain your faith is important in my view. I encourage people to develop a 90-second testimony. Basically, it's just a short 90 seconds about what was my life like before Christ, how I met Christ, and what my life is like now. The importance of that is that, Peter says, always be prepared to give an account. So I encourage people to think, if people ask me why I'm a Christian, what are you going to say, so that you've already got an idea? And you could have several different versions of this, depending upon the people that ask you. So you might have close friends, you might have colleagues, you have people in a social group that you're at, and so you're shaping an aspect of your testimony that they can relate to. So we encourage people, 90 seconds. It might look something like this. I used to struggle with the idea that my life made a difference and I had no purpose. I just thought, is this it for the next 50 years? And then one day I went to church and I heard about how Christ, when he died on the cross, it wasn't simply to forgive me my sins, because I didn't realize, or I didn't think that I was necessarily a bad person, but I realized that he died as me so that I could live as he. And the thought that God wanted a relationship with me so much, that he loves me enough to give his only son for me, just radically changed everything, and how I saw myself, how I saw life. And as a consequence, now I get fulfillment in life by serving others and by being there to encourage and to strengthen, to build others up and to give them hope. And it's just something like that. It's just a little 90-second testimony that explains what was going on in your life, how you met Christ, and the difference that that's made. Likewise, after sharing a testimony, there's things you can do to him that can perhaps increase the the likelihood of the person engaging. You can ask them questions. So for example, after if someone asks me why I'm a Christian after I would share a short testimony, I'm going to follow up with a question. I'm curious, what do you believe? So that now they have to think, so what do I believe? I thought I believed ABC, but in the light of that, maybe something's changed. So it gets them thinking, it gets them engaging. If it leads to a conversation, then and there, continue to ask more questions, gentle questions, not aggressive questions. Things like, what is it that you struggle with in regards to Christianity, or what is it that you struggle with in regards to the church, and get them to begin to share some of their things, because that's going to then create an opportunity for you to speak hope and give them a picture that is perhaps one that they didn't have before. So there's lots of things you can do. So don't be discouraged when people ask you about why you're a Christian. You feel that you don't have to come up with anything, wonderful and amazing. You just be ready to give an account, prepare it in advance, and be ready to ask questions that engage that person, that begins to get them to think not just about why you became a Christian, but what's going on in their life and how they might begin to find resolution for that and the hope of the gospel. So great question. Be assured you're going to be thinking of you, and don't give up giving an account of your faith. You're planting seeds wherever you go. Pardon me. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, how you struggle, if you struggle, how you've overcome that, to share your faith with others. But that's it for now. As always, you can ask your questions on slido.com, use the hashtag ALC23. But until next time, God bless.